very honored to turn it over to Seal and Jason, who are your hosts tonight.
Hi, so I'm Seal. Welcome. First off, welcome to our neighborhood learning conversations. So grateful that you guys are all here. So we are here to create schools that are prepared to prepare our students for a future, to create a South Burlington community that thrives. Whew. The education system is like an orchestra. There are many moving parts that need to work in harmony to create the best possible music. Students, parents, educators, business people, elders, administrators, taxpayers, you are here because you are a key part of that orchestra. We are going to use your feedback here to focus the SBHS graduation expectations, which need to be revised by new state law.
So, what began as 12 people meeting in this cafeteria in December and January has grown into neighborhood learning conversations that have happened all over South Burlington, and to create, and they've been inspirational as far as what people have talked about as far as the future for South Burlington schools.
So the goals of those neighborhood learning conversations have been to respond to the question, what should our high school graduates know in this era of rapid change? This work furthers the school district's end policy and is part of the state's legislation to develop graduation requirements and personalized learning plans and to remodel our education system through Act 77 and the class of 2017.
I'm glad she got the harder part of the script. So since December, our community has had a total of 15 neighborhood learning conversations. 3 were public meetings, 7 were in people's homes. 1 was a community community facility with senior adults. 2 were in classrooms. 1 will be with the teachers and staff. So there will be a total of 257 people who have participated in these neighborhood learning conversations.
So tonight we have several goals. To listen and learn from one another, enjoy each other's company, and share a meal together. To report out neighborhood learning conversations. Ooh, okay. So,
Yeah, here's a missing part here.
there's that. To use community input to narrow down proficiencies, what we want for our graduates, and to galvanize community involvement for next steps.
All right, I got a bad photocopy too.
Alrighty then, so
Thank you for rolling with us. Okay. So before we take this next step, we'd like to pause to offer thanks to all who've been involved in neighborhood learning conversations so far. If you have attended an NLC either here at the school, at City Hall, or in a home, if you've been a facilitator, a note taker, a supporter, or a host, if you are part of the Innovative Schools trip to New York City, please stand at this time to accept our applause and thanks.
before we take a next step, we'd like to pause.
Is that you?
That was me.
Okay.
You missed it.
I blew it. Oh, that's right. I forgot something. So I'll tell you something else, and then we'll do some other thank yous. So one, it's important to understand that we may not reach consensus on a final list, and that's okay. Any and all the information we share from the NLCs and from our big event tonight have been shared with our school district administrators. They have a big job ahead of them. You hear that, administrators who are here? In narrowing them down to a list of graduation requirements. And they have invited the community to weigh in, which is both humbling and really inspirational. We have a great set of administrators here, so we're really lucky. Also, we'd like to offer special thanks to Susie Merrick, who has done an incredible amount of work to pull this off.
So, additionally, we'd like to offer thanks to some awesome Eagle Rock schools Michael Seguero hails from. They've been consulting with us throughout this process and flew here from Colorado to offer community training and facilitation for this event without charging us a dime. So Michael Seguero.
We have the Eagle Rockers stand up. We have gifts for them. And I'll say the names again because they got drawn up by applause. We have Michael Seguero. We have Beth Ellis. Nikki Bowe, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I got it.
And Amelia Horn. So, and we have magnets and t-shirts. I think I'm reading that, so. Thanks. Okay. So at this point, Janelle Gilbert and I will present the data analysis from the neighborhood learning conversations. And a huge thanks to Janelle, who spent was up to after 4 a.m. this morning crunching all the numbers that we had neighborhood learning conversations.
I started at 4 a.m. I don't stay up till 4 a.m.
Okay.
I'm way past that.
Great. So we've had these neighborhood learning conversations where people get together and they really talk about what we want for our graduates. They're an hour and a half, and they've been awesome discussions. So we've done 137 people so far. We have 120 more to come. They've been made up of students, graduates, parents, teachers, community members. And there are handouts on your tables. I'll just pull this one out. They look like this. And so we're going to explain how we got these results. And these are the top 19. So the things that got the most response to what people really want from our graduates. And this information, the district is going to use to create or inform the new graduation requirements that South Burlington is going to create to best prepare our students for this rapidly changing world. And with that, I'll hand it over to Janelle to explain the process.
So I want to thank everyone who participated and everybody who showed up tonight for letting me play with your data. And I say that because when reading through this, you don't just read what we want for our kids to learn, but you start to see it as a poem of love that we have for our kids and our best hopes for them, a prayer for their future from my viewpoint, and just that we want the world for them. That it was my job to take some of those concepts that people gave of their very best hopes and to break them down into some words that would be outcomes, as opposed to, what do we want to see a student be able to demonstrate to be able to achieve that. So one phrase could turn into 3 words, and I had a couple of good ones. My favorite one was, I want her to go to the moon and back. Well, what does that mean? And that means that she has courage, and she has adventure, and she has initiative, right? And if you told me that whatever contributes to the world in themselves was your goal for your child, they'll need a global perspective, self-esteem, identity, and initiative. And when I saw how to navigate systems of power and oppressions, I saw courage, research, resilience, collaboration, and initiative. So in the data, what it is one phrase could be a number of words. And then those words I tried to bring down to words that would hold categories. Something like, I want her to take care of herself. I want him to make sure that he engages in regular physical exercise. I want them to learn good nutrition and how to cook for themselves. And all that came in under wellness. Because to try to, when you're trying to do data, you try to get it to the smallest possible denominator. And so I tried to make something that would be a category. But the outliers in this particular project were beautiful. That somebody wants their child to have grit. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Grit was probably my favorite. There were a few people who mentioned love. I don't know if a school can teach love, but that's what several people wanted for their kids. And so I put the concept of love, because some of them said, I want my child to love themselves and others. Some of them said, I want them to understand how people love them. And I'm like, how do I get that in a category? Well, it's that they understand the concept of love. So I was trying to think of what else I wanted to say to you folks before I turn it over to Jason. But a couple of others. Always learn new things, and turned into lifelong learning. Know that there are other people in the world and cultures in the world, this global perspective. That when you're looking at the categories and these terms, there were hopes for the kids. And I just thought that was a beautiful thing. The notes all came to me yesterday afternoon, and so it was sort of a mad rush to try to figure out a way to put it into something that made sense for folks. But it was a real honor to work with it. I'm looking forward to the other half of the data to come in. So we can, I don't think it's going to change much. I did a kind of a Wordle because that kind of helped me visualize it. I'm going to see it first and have it make sense. I'm going to do another one, and I'm really hoping, Susie came up with the idea of making them into magnets. I'm hoping we can make them into magnets. That this is our Wordle. This is what our priorities are, in the big and the small, down to the minute. We do want that kid to have grit, and probably all of his friends. We're not sure that the school can teach that, but it's something that we wish for them. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Great. That's actually the Roland Foundation is bringing in a researcher who studies, Angela Duckworth, who studies grit and perseverance and how to teach it. So she'll be here next October if you want to go. And so how we got that information is in every conversation, people filled out forms of what they thought they wanted their graduates to know, and also we have an awesome crew of note takers who took notes, and then we had a data team that went through all those sheets and went through all those notes and then kind of coded and broke it down. So we had an awesome team making this happen. So the top answers, so these are the ones that got the most hits, and you all have copies on your sheet, are, and I alphabetized them, so that's what order they're in. So you know. Community involvement, passion, confidence, critical thinking, empathy, global awareness and perspective, integrity or ethics, lifelong learner, literacy, math, open-minded, personal economics, problem solving, resilience, self-awareness, self-identity, verbal communication, wellness, and written communication. Okay, so those are our top hits. All right. Okay, let me just check where we are. Where's the sheet? Let's do this for what we resolve technical difficulties.
Yes, this is a very technical piece
Okay,
of paper.
it's your great.
Alrighty then. Thank you. At each table, you'll see 1 or 2 team leaders. In a minute, we'll invite you to help yourselves to dinner. While you share a meal together at your table, these small group leaders will engage you in dialogue on the guided questions at each table.
Great. And they're not all team leaders, they just might look like one. So if you're a facilitator at your table, can you just raise your hand so people know who the facilitator is? Awesome. So thank you in advance for sharing your thoughts and ideas with one another. At the end of our meal, we'll invite the leader at each table to report out on your dialogue. And with that.
Okay, I know that's a signal that Jason wants me to say something. So I know I'm the only thing keeping you from dinner right now, so I'll be quick. I'm Michael Seguero. I'm the Director of Professional Development at Eagle Rock School and Professional Development Center. I work all over the country helping support schools in adopting different practices, not just proficiency-based graduation systems or competency-based learning, but that's a real big buzz lately around the country. And I wanted to put it in a bit of a larger context. I'll start local though, as our good friend who I know wants to be here, Pat Burke said, it didn't make sense to him that looking at two different 11th graders' transcripts, that one who was struggling through a lot of their courses but passed them, and somebody who was excelling at them would get the same advice about what was next on the path to graduation requirements. Because that's just based on credits, accumulating some credits. And being a father of 4 boys myself, who are all school age, they're so different from one another that what we want is real targeted support and advice for that student, not just based on the number of hours they spent in a seat in a math class. We want them to get the advice that has to do with what they're learning and what will help them achieve that learning. So that's the local, that's Patrick Burke's vision, and that's what was inspiring him to do this. But to give you some national context, It's ironic, but the foundation, the Carnegie Foundation that invented the unit that says how many credits you get, they are currently funding the startup of competency-based high schools all over the country. The initiative is called Opportunity by Design, and they're starting schools in Denver, New York City, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Ohio. They feel that the units of credit might have some serviceability, they might be useful to some extent, but they've gone too far. They have created too many downsides to it, like we're not really understanding what are young people learning, and what are they mastering and attaining and getting competent in. So they and the Gates Foundation, the Gates Foundation's behind all the funding for the Common Core. The Gates Foundation is pairing up with them to fund these studies on competency-based learning or proficiency-based learning, because they believe that that's the kind of system you need to attain the standards in the new Common Core. So it's not an additional or different thing that we're doing here. This is a path to better attainment of these new standards. The last thing that's happened last year, the US Department of Education just approved an experimental policy to give financial aid to students based on competencies they've mastered rather than credits they've earned. In fact, your neighbor, the first, Southern New Hampshire University is the first pilot site for where young people are receiving financial aid based on competencies that they've achieved. And that's the first prototype, so the US Department of Education is behind this. And that's what brings us, because of the demand for all this competency-based work, and it's a shift in the system, and we're consultants to help with that. We have gone from Seattle to New York City, we work in Detroit down to Albuquerque, schools all over the country. You're in it together with them. This is not an isolated phenomenon that's happening right here. So it's very exciting to see you all engaged in this conversation the way we've been seeing it happen all over the country. So if you have any questions, you can ask us as we enjoy our dinner, and have at it.
Great. So now everyone stand up, get food, and then your facility will get dialect.
Stresses out. How much you have to choose? Trying to balance very passionate teachers with this huge workload, graduate workload. Coming and going, two households, some kids have that.
Let's go back to the lifelong learning, because I think that does kind of encompass the notion that you require the skills to develop these providers and for this food. Those kinds of things. I assume that that's
They funnel you into getting into
I feel like they're in college, like they've been more about doing stuff like that. Like in middle school, the ones make it fun rather than
how much homework
about different stuff.
it's over. And like much work.
I don't know if you guys have taken but I'm taking it now. It's like, okay, I get it. If you're not done, just don't sit here and judge you. And just like, okay, well, like, I'm not like she's just like, oh, it's not done. That's what I was saying. My mom said that my brother's one of my brothers. I feel like that's important stuff that we should be learning.
Please don't stay clear. So when you're problem solving in your job.
Nice. That's what we need.
Well, that's not necessary though, because you just put a debit card. It does it all for you. Download the app. It says your balance. We'll think about it.
you know, math and everything.
A lot of these things we're talking about. That's a lot. We're actually starting to get
One child in the children I teach, he is good at just the life research. They can.
I hate to interrupt all these great discussions. It was so cool going out here with good talks and exciting conversations, cool diagrams. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. So we thank you. I hope you enjoyed your discussion. At this point, we're going to go around the tables, and the leader of your table is just going to quickly list the 3 items that your table got. Okay. And then our volunteers from Eagle Rock are going to collect all the sheets, both the blue sheet with their table vote and the individual ones, so we can then bring that data back to the district. Okay? And so, if we're okay, we're going to start in this corner, then we'll kind of go up and down and up. Okay? And stand up and speak loud so everyone can hear you.
Critical thinking, number 1. Community involvement, number 2. And compassion.
Awesome. Thank you. Next page.
Our first one was literacy, our second was empathy, and our third was resilience.
Alright, our first one was lifelong learner, our second one was global awareness, and our last one was either wellness or problem solving.
Great.
So we had problem solving, personal economics, and communication.
All right.
We had community involvement, critical thinking, and wellness.
Thanks.
We have very different ideas. I'm going to go with science, math, and technology from the young folks.
Okay, great.
In no specific order, we have critical thinking, wellness, and community.
For us, we had community involvement, financial literacy, and self-awareness / identity.
Great.
First, we had self-identity, then compassion, and then lifelong learning.
Awesome. Then we'll go over here.
We had critical thinking, literacy, and independence.
Super.
It was very hard for us to consolidate, but for number 1 we had critical thinking along with problem solving. For number 2 we had communication, and for number 3 we had global awareness, community involvement, and open-mindedness.
Super. Wow. Over here?
So we had written communication and verbal as well. We kind of couldn't decide. We had lifelong learning, and we had problem solving.
And we also went for the integrated approach, so lifelong learner, awareness and perspective, and integrity, resilience, and perseverance.
And then we skip to the back table there.
Here, we kind of turned them all into like other categories.
We bundled.
So, and we also have 4. So it's wellness, communication, and then critical thinking and problem solving, and then lifelong learner.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Your insights tonight have been extraordinary. Your ideas are really valued, and they're super, super important to us.
Great. And so the dialogue and work does not end here, as much as we'd like it to. In many ways, work has just begun. We'd like to offer you some next steps, and we enthusiastically encourage you to take part in it if you can.
As we leave tonight, you'll see laid out on the tables up here a hallway of menus, and where am I? Yeah, you have at least 3 choices, and you're welcome to sign up for more than one.
Right. And so you may sign up 1 to be put on a listserv and receive updates on this work that you've done tonight. 2, you can receive updates and be involved at the state level. And I think that, and 1 just to, I think it's just to be part of PACT. Is that right?
That's good.
Okay, great.
So tonight we also have a table set up for a card making for Principal Patrick Burke to let him know that you're thinking about him. If you'd like to take part, please feel free to create a card and put it in the basket we provide. we'll be sure to get the cards to him.
Great. Finally, we're also very interested in receiving your feedback on tonight. At each table, you see a questionnaire sheet, a little half sheet that wasn't your voting thing. And if you have a minute to fill one out, we'd be most grateful because we're trying to figure out the best way to do this stuff.
So, one of PACT's mantras is a quote from Margaret Mead, and you'll see that all at your tables. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. We thank you for being thoughtful, committed citizens. Thank you for being in the orchestra and composing a symphony that will prepare our students for this rapidly changing world and making South Burlington a thriving community. Please sign up for the next steps on the sheets at the back.
Table over there.
Table over there.
All right, thank you very much for a great evening.
One more thank you, because he changed the script. So, the huge thank you, and I think we give the wave as well. The wave is just is to the heart and soul of all this amazing work, and that's to my friend and a source of inspiration to me, Jason.
All right, have a great evening. Please sign up. Have extra food.
It's nice talking to you. I gotta run over to the PBA.